hold fast to dreams. For if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field where the dirt and dust blow. The house that Earl built, where some things change, but the dream remains the same.
McDowell down low. They're side by side to the line. Off corner number 4. Brandon Shepherd wins it.
I've always loved this. It's the first time I came here.
It's going to be Scott Bloomquist winning his 8th Dirt Late Model Dream. $100,000 richer here at Eldora Speedway.
It's a Cinderella story.
25 pounds light, Scott Bloomquist disqualified.
$273,000 this week.
This is our Daytona 500. This is it.
I've been waiting on this race ever since we left here.
Demo was mine. He has to get his own.
Cars are loud as can be, but you can hear him cheering.
The dream is to win it. You know, you want to win the dream.
Eldora, I guess that's all I can say. We're going to keep fighting. We don't give up. We'll be here till the end.
This is what I wanted to be, you know, the whole time I was growing up. I didn't want to do anything else. I wanted to be a race car driver.
And for the second time in his career, Jonathan Davenport wins the Dirt Late Model Dream.
It's been a hell of a journey, and it's not over yet.
This is your video cast for the week of Monday, June 3rd, and a tip of the hat, as always, to our amazing Tim Truex for another incredible Eldora hype video. Is Suave, it gets real now. What do I mean by that? Not only has the calendar officially flipped to June, which means basically racing every single day for the next 2 months, but for the dirt late model purists like you and I, it goes all the way back to 1994 this week. $100,000. You know, it used to be a gigantic deal, Derek. $100,000 to win, if you can believe that. He had video from the original Dream right here in 1994. Earl Baltus announces he's having a $100,000 to win race.
Poor Blue.
Freddie Smith would win the inaugural event in that Bazooka 00 car that year. 30 years later, Derek, we still honor that tradition on the first weekend of June every single year. Bloomer with the flat tire swap. By the way, there is no better looking car than that 18 right there. Maybe the two best looking late models ever here, the Bazooka car and the 18 car. Freddie would go on to win it with a broken wrist that year, Derek. We still honor that tradition 30 years later with the running of the Dirt Late Model Dream. I am Michael Rigsby inside our FloRacing and Dirt on Dirt studios right here in lovely Bloomington, Illinois. We are recording this on a Monday evening tonight. Most of us will head out to Eldora tomorrow with the expanded Dream Week. We'll talk about that more in a second. Derek Kessinger, my partner in crime, joins me now. Suave, I wanted to start here, and then you go, and then I'll go, and then maybe we'll go back and forth a little bit. When I just say, hey, what do you think of when you think about the Dirt Late Model Dream, Derek? What do you think?
I know it pays more now, but just seeing guys like Jimmy Mars, Rick Eckert, Dale McDowell holding up the check that said $100,000. Like, I don't know, the World 100 check's great. Everybody talks about the Globe, but the big thing you want to see is that $100,000 paycheck. And it changed Jimmy Mars' career. It's solidified Rick Eckert's career, winning the Dirt Late Model Dream. And, you know, Scott Bloomquist has won a plethora, but I always just think about the $100,000 check, especially when I was younger. I'm like, damn, we're racing for that much money here at Eldora. Yeah, it does. It's like I said in my open, it used to be a big deal, guys, running for $100,000. In 1993, when he announced he was going to do it for 1994, people thought Earl Baltus was absolutely out of his mind. And here we are 30 years later. I think the Dream, Derek, gets a little bigger every year, it feels like, or at least it'll go 5 years at the same plateau, then it gets bigger. Goes 5 years at the same plateau, then it gets bigger. I fully expect with that weather forecast Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, a monster crowd in Rossburg. Oh, it's gotten bigger and bigger every single year. And that's why people maybe liked it for the most part. Yeah, you have to go check out the World 100, but if you want a laid back feel, don't have to wait in line at the concession stand as much compared to what you have to do in September. It's a great feeling. It just has that vibe of just hardcore dirt late model fans are there. My list, when I think about the Dirt Late Model Dream, you said it, Derek, you can't talk about this event and not discuss Scott Bloomquist, the 8
8-time champion. 8 times he's won this race. All the other things, other than just the wins that have also happened to him at this event, no green light. You saw a flat tire in the inaugural event, Derek.
Heat 5,
right? We said it right at the same time. Bloomquist is so...
falling off the tailgate.
Yeah, falling off the tailgate. Bloomquist is so tied to Eldora already, and then you throw the dream in him, even maybe more length than him in the World 100. Another word I think of is just different, right? Eldora is so marked by the World 100. This legitimately, Derek, has a different feel to it. I always encourage, first time, if you're going to Eldora for the first time, you've got to go to the World 100. I want someone to feel the place for the first time in all of its splendor and all of its glory. But I do know people, Derek, there are people out there that prefer the Dream to the World 100. Those people do exist. Like you said, little leaner in the crowd, little easier to move around. You see the same guys racing.
I'll give you the Dream. Getting around to places, getting to point A to point B is a lot quicker than the World 100. Yeah, the charm and just the atmosphere will never be matched, but just some little work things you can get done quicker.
Yes,
get around to different.
You can just move
spots
faster. Yeah. We're jokingly when we say this, but Derek and I say, you know what our favorite Eldora event was? With the ones with no fans. We're kidding. Not
the one in September. We got COVID.
We did get COVID at that one, but you have to admit, when nobody was there, it was parking on the helipad, for goodness sakes.
Yes. But I got to ride in a helicopter last year at the Dream, so that was cool
true.
Too, so.
And my last thing is just wild stuff. Bloomer Fry, no green light. Scott off the tailgate. Mars Barnett, the Darrell Lanigan green flag run. There's been a lot of more crazy shit at this race than any other Eldora crown jewel, in my opinion.
And I think just because of the magnitude of Eldora, the Dirt Late Model Dream, an underrated one that we kind of talked about in the chat was 2009 Dream when Owens on the same lap passed Bloomquist and smoked Tony Stewart and ended up winning.
While his car was smoking.
Yeah, and you're like, that's an all-time moment, but it's Eldora, and it's hard to I just think that was one I can remember very vividly because I was there. I was in college, and that one was pretty epic.
Todd called it, and we have video. We don't have it right now, but Todd called it maybe the greatest pass in Eldora Speedway history. Jimmy Owens, who in their life has passed Bloomquist and Stewart on the same lap to take the lead at a major Eldora
Kyle
event?
Larson can't even say that yet. So there we go. Jimmy Owens has that right now.
Derek, a reminder to fans, I hope they would know this by now, but it's not just Dream 30 that we're previewing this week or that will air live on FloRacing, but for the first time ever, a Castrol FloRacing Night in America event will kick off.
You pulled some strings, Rigsby.
Had to pull some strings. We'll pull off at Eldora Crown Jewel Week. So let's get a look at our live programming schedule. Wednesday night, Derek, Castrol FloRacing Night in America, a full field of cars. And it looks like it's going to be nearly 100 for that opening night on Wednesday night. We're going to discuss the new Dream format here shortly, Derek, but it is 4 nights of major super late model racing at Eldora for the first time really ever, which is really cool.
Yeah, you're kicking off a great week of 4 nights of racing. Guys are going to be racing 3 total as they get a night off, but just a little extra seat time to kick it off, because usually we had this race in the springtime and sometimes the weather just wasn't very great
April.
for that.
It was brutal. Yeah.
So we're gonna get dialed in. Everybody will be maybe a little test and tune session.
I don't know, with 100 cars there. I don't know. I think these guys are going to get at it for sure. It's going to be fun, though. You and I live from the racetrack Wednesday night.
We've only done that at Fairbury.
We will be live from Eldora.
Big time racetrack. Looking forward to it.
It's like college game day, man. We're out there, which is great. Derek, before we get to that new format, you mentioned this before we started and got on air. We have to pass our thoughts and prayers along to the family of Jerry Gappens. Jerry, of course, the general manager at Eldora the last couple of years, took over for Roger Slack. He had just done a tremendous job carrying on the legacy of great GMs at Eldora. We lost Jerry this past week, and it's just really sad, Derek. And you and I sat next to Jerry 1,000 times in that press box the last couple of years. He had an infectious personality about him, and he will be missed. And we can't go into this Eldora event without our hearts being heavy for Jerry and his family.
Yeah, and he was a very kind man, and I felt like he went above and beyond with us in the infield at the Kevin Kovac Memorial.
Right.
I guess
media center.
Like, he came in, we had a meeting. He thanked all of us. He really took his time to make sure, hey, these guys are here to cover the race, to make the the race more, exploited to more people across America. And he was a great guy.
So we'll definitely talk and remember Jerry a lot this week. I know DJ and Ben and James and everybody, but our thoughts and prayers with Jerry and his family. We mentioned this Wednesday night. Like I said, we'll host the live studio show. But then we mentioned Thursday and Friday different. For the first time ever in Crown Jewel history, split fields at Eldora, which I candidly absolutely love. I cannot wait for this. I think there's still people out there, Derek, that don't know what this
format. 1 month ago.
They didn't know what the format was. So we're going to graphically show you this, right? So Wednesday night, full program. Everybody that's entered all 100 cars, 90 cars, everybody races Wednesday. Thursday, half the entries race. Friday, half the entries race. I'd say Derek's going to be about 47 and 47, looking somewhere in that range.
50 range.
And 50 lappers, 25,000 to win and 2,000 to start. So these guys are still basically racing for the same money because it was 12,000 to win, thousands to start before. Half the field Thursday, half the field Friday. These guys get a night off. Then your traditional Saturday format with your heat races, your 20-lap consolations, your 2 provisionals based on points. I am in love with this format, Derek. I think guys are going to love the night off. You're still racing basically for the same amount of start money against half the field. They doubled the winner's purse. I love what they've done with this dream format.
Yeah, and you get more of a kind of a feel what the 100 lapper is going to be because you're doing 50 laps instead of 25. And, that was the biggest thing Devin Moran says. We're, racing for more money from top to bottom with less laps on our race cars. Yep. So in those, 2 days prelims, then we can do a little scouting report and be like, oh, this guy's going here instead of like going fast paced, trying to make sure everything's ready. You just know that, hey, I got Friday night off. Let's go hang out and kind of maybe
or Thursday
scouting report.
Yeah, where you sit Thursday, right?
Versa,
everybody gets at least
We're
one.
also going to do a thing on Friday with the winner from Thursday hanging out with me in the infield during the feature.
I like that.
Kind of interacting, what he's seeing and different things like that, which we haven't had that.
That's good. Cocktails with that or no?
Probably depends who it is. It depends. I mean, our guests later on we'll probably do that, but we'll have to wait and see.
Then, Kane, I think we've got one more graphic regarding the format as well. Yeah, here we go. This is on Saturday. No, this is Wednesday and Thursday, excuse me. Pre-race, pit pass sales, noon, pits open, drivers meeting at 5 o'clock. And these are for the prelims on, these are Thursday, Friday prelims. It says Wednesday, Thursday there. These are Thursday, Friday prelims. Hot laps followed by multi-car time trials in Group A and B, 8 p.m. opening ceremonies. Derek, we've been getting done at midnight during the Dream. We should be done much, much earlier with this because we're only 45 cars a night, which should speed these up, and they needed to be sped up.
On paper, in my mind, it should speed it up, but
Macon happened last week.
Well, you can't control racing, but I think it's going to be great because by the time you get to like Friday, especially when we had the 4-day, when you get the Friday hot lap qualifying, everybody's just like zombies there. So this is kind of cool. You get a fresh, hey, JD didn't race on Thursday or Friday or vice versa or whatever he has the day is, and you're like, okay, we get to see our favorite driver race and watch him put on a show, maybe.
We will be live from Eldora Wednesday night with Castrol FloRacing Night in America. Then our wall-to-wall Dream coverage starts Thursday and Friday with this new split format. If you've ever watched us or seen a preview video cast for Eldora, 17 years in a row, we have done this. Our video cast kicks off with the media roundtable as we welcome the media personalities from around FloRacing and Dirt on Dirt. And I think for a decade running now, so at least 10 of those 17 years, Ben Shelton has batted leadoff. Ben, of course, will be up in the tower Wednesday. And then down to the pits, he's become that all too familiar voice when guys get out of the car in victory lane. Ben's voice has become iconic with that at Eldora. Ben, I'll start with you. It's Dream 30. Easy first question. What's on your mind?
Well, first and foremost, it's got to be, the Gappins family and the Eldora Speedway family. They're going to lay Jerry to rest on Tuesday morning. Then they got to get ready for one of the biggest events of the year. And I just can't imagine what those guys are going through. And again, I think you guys said it beautifully. Our hearts go out to them. Apart from that, man, it's back to the Big E is on my mind. The dirt late model world invades Eldora for the first time this year. And that always gets me fired up. Apart from that, I'm really excited about the new Dream format where the field split over the 2 qualifying nights. You guys hash that out, and I really hope this goes well and we can add it to the World 100 weekend. It'll make for earlier checkered flags on Thursday and Friday, which allows fans and teams to embrace the post-race fellowship and camaraderie that Eldora is really known for. So I'm hoping this sticks. I hope it's here for good.
We see all these high dollar races now, Ben. The Dream endures, though, right? It still carries on 30 years in. I mean, remember the first one in '94. Why is that? Why does it matter as much now as it did in '94 still?
It matters because Earl was the guy. He was the guy who truly stopped the presses with the first 6-figure winner's purse. And then he put the perfect name on it, The Dream. I mean, what better name could you have? And while we have a lot of big paydays out there these days, the Dream continues to endure. And the fact that it enters year 30 when several events can't get past year 1, I think that speaks volumes. It's hard to imagine there being anybody not respecting the legacy and the history of the Dream.
Give me your notes, your pre-Dream notes, Benji. Lay them on me.
Let's start with the rookies. I love first timers, and right now we've got a roughly 24 first timers, and it's a fun group. Guys like Sammy Mars, Hayden Cowan, Tristan Chamberlain, Trey Mills, Oakley Johns, Max McLaughlin, Clay Harris, Christian Hanger, Jackson Heiss, and then guys you would have sworn weren't Dream rookies, and I've been trying to disprove it today, but I can't find anything so far. Names like Garrett Smith and Tyler Carpenter.
Wow.
Eldora isn't always friendly to first timers, but man, it's fun watching them try to tame the Big E.
Derek, I always tell you, not to cut you off, Ben, I always tell Derek I know a lot about late model racing. Then I hear Ben list off the rookies for the Dream, and I go, Ben knows a lot more than me. He really just
Ben, good work on that. I have a quick thought here. James Essex, I heard he's going to be in the infield on Wednesday for the Castrol show. What's kind of the scouting report for James in the infield? We know he likes to carry it up top, but new role for him this Wednesday.
He hit Dustin Jarrett and I up about that back at the Farmer City Fairbury Lucas weekend. He's like, any thoughts? I was like, hell yeah, let's do that. The scary part is we're putting him and Norris down there together. So I don't know where that lands with him and Mike Norris, but I'm very excited. James is very excited. James says he wants to get back to his roots. And dude, if you didn't already think James was the GOAT and you didn't love James, that just proves it further. He wants to get out there and do something he hadn't got to do in a while. A few other little notes here I want to throw at you guys. Looking back at last year, Jonathan Davenport got another big win at the Big E, but I uncovered this stat working on notes this weekend. 5 of the top 10 finishers in last year's Dream finale, that was their all-time best Dream finish. And to make it even more interesting, those names go by Bobby Pierce, Ricky Thornton Jr., Mason Ziegler, Hudson O'Neal, and Stormy Scott. So those guys got their best ever Dream finish last year. And last but not least, we have to mention this. I know it's going to be to the disdain of Chris Madden, but he was second last year for his 3rd straight Dream.
Ugh. Yeah, I have a little Madden note later. So just to that. Ben, who wins Dream 30?
Vegas says not to bet against RTJ or Pierce, but Big E history tells me not to bet against Jonathan Davenport. I got JD picking up his 2nd straight crown jewel on the hills of 50,000 at the Show Me. His 2nd straight Dream title and his 3rd overall, Jonathan Davenport, for $100,030 on Saturday night.
Benji, we appreciate it. We'll see you Wednesday night. Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.
Double K Kevin Kovac joins us now. Kovac, start here. Give us reasons. We have to care about it, and I do because I work here. Give the public reasons to care about the Dream this year. What are they?
I think there's some really great storylines all through the Dream here too. You saw Jonathan Davenport, Ben's pick here for the win. He has a little rivalry going with Ricky Thornton Jr. Ricky Thornton Jr. has a little situation going on with Bobby Pierce after Macon. The Thornton and Davenport was at the Show Me 100. They came together. So right off the bat, you have the top 3 guys in the country. They have, both of them, 2 of them have deals with going on right with Ricky Thornton Jr., who's never won a crown jewel yet at Eldora, who you'd think would have to be in line here, one of the most likely next guys to win a big one, considering how good he's been lately. His last 12 starts up through from mid-April all the way through the last race he ran was the Macon Flow race last week. He's got 12 races, 11 top 2 finishes, 7 wins in there. So, man, I can't imagine that he's not going to continue that kind of success here and have all eyes on him. I mean, he's going to have a lot of eyes on him all weekend long. And another thing I'll mention here, too, another thing that kind of is cool to look at is how about the Rocket One team. That they just won the World 100 last year. They won the Dirt Track World Championship. Well, they didn't win the World. They finished second in now with Hudson O'Neal, but won the Lucas Oil Series Championship in that race last October. So 2 really big celebrations for Rocket One. Now they come back with a new driver. It's Tim McCready. And the last time, you remember this here, last time that the Rocket One team came to Eldora for the Dream with a veteran driver, who they had just added in like in season. That was Rick Eckert in 2014. Remember what happened in one of the prelim nights?
Photo finish with Berkey. Photo finish with Berkey. Yep.
Photo finish. I mean, I remember everybody sitting down in that infield, like, who won? They were going back to the videotape, checking the transponders, and finally Berkey won. But man, how about we get another one of them? Tim McCready get in the mix and get another photo finish with the Rocket One team.
Kovac, I love the format. Tell people why they should love the format, because this is just better. I'm sorry, it's just better. This format's better. It's better, isn't it? Tell people why it's better.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at this. I mean, normally there's about 80 to 90 cars. There's been over 100 lately too. A couple years ago with for the Dream. That's stretching this the two split field in one night deal that they've had since 2013. The time trials have taken longer. We haven't had heat races starting at 8 o'clock in a few years, it seems like, for those prelim nights. That makes for a longer night. And I just feel like, man, now some drivers that have that night off, they'll be able to go up there, maybe hang out, go up into the bar area or up in the stands and hang out with the fans a little bit more, because it's just been so much racing with 3 nights in a row, everybody running and going later because there's so much racing. And I mean, how about this? I don't think this is a problem this year, hopefully, with the forecast. Looks pretty good. But then when you do have some rain delays or something, it's a little easier to get it in, to get everything in if you only got 45 cars or 50 cars rather than 100 to qualify in all those divisions and all those races.
Kovac, you're the notes master, as Derek says. Notes master, unload the pre-Dream notebook for us.
How about Scott Bloomquist? He hasn't raced since he hurt that car at Ultimate Motorsports Park and really destroyed a car a few weeks ago. But he had a new car built. He tested it, actually. Bobby Pierce did some late night testing after the modified race up at Mississippi Thunder one of the nights. I saw some video out there of that. They were taking some laps around Mississippi Thunder because they were up there with their late models also. Chris Ferguson. He's always seems like he's fast at Eldora. Wasn't sure if he's even going to be able to run because he hurt a motor in that same hurt a car in that same wreck that Bloomquist was in North Carolina a few weeks ago. And he hurt a motor after he put one in his Longhorn. Only one motor he has left. Hurt that in testing last week at Cherokee. So he didn't even have a motor ready to go. He's borrowed one from a friend. He doesn't say who. It's a silent person who's providing him a motor, but he has a motor, so he'll be at the race this weekend. And one note here about Mason Ziegler. He had a 5th place finish last year's Dream. You look back at Ziegler. He really finished 6th in the World 100 last year too. He's really been a kind of a sneaky good guy at Eldora. He's one of only 5 drivers who started the last 7 Dream finales. I mean, the only other guys are Tim McCready, Dale McDowell, Bobby Pierce, and Jonathan Davenport. So that's really some good company for Ziegler. And so keep an eye on him. He's run well in limited appearances this year, and I think he might be a guy to watch all weekend.
Kovac, you get one winner. Who is it?
I'm going Brandon Overton. I just got a good feeling about him this year. He's coming off a win just on Sunday night down south in Georgia. He's coming in there with some momentum. He's got that Xfinity, Wells Xfinity car, coming Infinity car. I call it Xfinity. It's Infinity. Sorry about that. But
a Nissan Xfinity.
The new chassis. And last year, remember, he hit that wall. He didn't even get to run in the finale because he really he had 2 big crashes. Had to go to the hospital by the end of last year's weekend because his neck was so sore and kind of messed him up for the whole summer because he had pain. And I think he just comes in there. He's not running a national tour. He comes in there and he wins his 3rd Dream.
All right. We'll see you this week, Kovac. Thank you.
Thank you.
The voice of Eldora Speedway, one of my great friends in life. It's DJ, Dustin Jarrett. DJ, I think it's safe to call you an Eldora veteran at this point. You've been there about 150 times like I have. So I'll ask you from this perspective, what is unique about this year's Dream? What's unique?
I mean, the obvious, the format, which you guys have touched on, right? But I think something that goes along with that maybe we haven't really touched on, a couple different things. Number one, it's going to mean there's less laps on the racetrack, which I think is a good thing, right? You don't have all 90 or 100 cars running 2 straight nights. You've got half the field, and I think that's a good thing. What that also means, too, guys, is that's a better chance for one of these kind of under the radar drivers to sneak in and get a really good starting spot in Saturday's heat races, right? You look back on last year, for example, and you had Joseph Joyner finish in the top 5 in one of the prelims. Carson Hocevar was 6th in a prelim, right? And a few years back, Jensen Ford was 6th in a prelim. And so when you don't have to run 2 nights, there are some guys that really and truly could parlay that into a good starting spot for their heat race on Saturday. The other thing that's different this year too that I really don't think we're talking enough about, they've readjusted some of the money in this purse. No longer they went a few years where they had a little more money on top. They've readjusted this money now. The dream is $6,000 to start, guys, making it, I think, the highest paying race to start in the entire country, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So kudos to the late Jerry Gappins and Tony Stewart and Jonathan Bateman and everybody there. I think that's huge. I think those are some of the things that are pretty unique about this year's event.
All right, DJ, I'm a betting man. We talk about sports betting, and I know that you like to do dirt drafts. So who are the top 5 favorites? You don't have to do any order, just because I don't want you to get yelled at when you're doing your notes on Wednesday.
I wanted him to do them in order.
Or you can do an order if you want.
You're letting him off the hook, I think.
All right, but top 5 favorites. But then we'll know who's winner.
Oh, true. Good point. Good call.
Yeah,
don't put them in order. Good call, Swap.
No order.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'll go in reverse order. How's that? And I'll say this, just because I think someone is a favorite doesn't necessarily mean it's my pick either. Number 5, Chris Madden, and Ben touched on it, right? I mean, here's a dude that's been runner-up for 3 straight years. He was runner-up in the Million. He just snake bid in this event, I think. Number 4, how about Hudson O'Neal? I mean, here's, Kevin alluded to this. He's the defending World 100 champion, defending Lucas Oil champ, albeit with Rocket One. But let's not forget, guys, he's with Kevin Rumley this weekend. That's a proven team, a proven car that we know can run well there. Number 3, I'm going to go with Bobby Pierce. I know he hasn't had the best of luck in the dream. As a matter of fact, the podium that he got last year was his best finish. He's a former World 100 champion. I think anytime the money's on the line and there's even just a blip of high side, the 32 car is going to be up there. Number 2 for me would be Ricky Thornton Jr. Now, he's only got 1 top 5 in the dream, and he's still seeking that first Eldora crown jewel. He's got prelim wins, and again, if we're being candid with each other, he's the best driver in the country right now. And number 1 is the obvious answer, of course, Jonathan Davenport, for all the reasons that you guys have talked about already. He's the defending winner of the race. He won the Million a couple years ago. He's a 3-time World 100 champion, and I think he is the odds-on favorite going in.
Quickly, DJ, your pre-event nuggets, little nuggies. What do you got?
I got a few different things for you. First off, and working on my driver notes, how about Corey Hedgecock teaming up with Sean Martin in a Sean Martin-owned BMF chassis? That's something that I didn't know really up until today. Jensen Ford, who I talked about earlier, he's going to be in a John Minen-owned TNT race car this weekend. So a couple again of those under the radar drivers that could go in there if they have a good run on their prelim night. They could have a pretty good starting spot in their heat on Saturday. I got a couple other ones as well. How about one time, guys? Once in the last 23 years has a driver led all 100 laps of the Dirt Late Model Dream. That was actually Shane Clanton back in 2012. And I'd be remiss if I didn't do my annual Dale McDowell stat. It's probably my favorite thing to do each year. So here's my Dale McDowell stat for you this year. He's made this race 16 times in a row, guys. It's unbelievable. He has actually made the dream, made the feature 16 years in a row, and that counts the stream, the replacement race we had a couple years ago. His average finish in those 16 years, 8.5. Unbelievable, man. Mac Daddy's like a fine wine. He just gets better with age.
Is that your pick, DJ? Is Mac Daddy your pick? Give us your pick. And is it Dale McDowell Saturday night?
It is not. Oh. Sorry, Mac Daddy. Again, hard to go against Jonathan Davenport, I think, until someone can prove him wrong or prove me wrong. I picked him last year. He won the race. He's so good right now. He's so good there. I think JD puts the 49 in victory lane for the second straight year.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow, DJ. Good luck all weekend. All right, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
You know, Derek, I had to check on this note. I thought I had it right. Have we ever had Kyle McFadden on the pre-Eldora video cast before? He said the million. He said the million swap. We've had him. Well, because Derek, I always say, should we have McFadden on? And you always say, no,
that's a lie.
Don't put him on. You always say that.
Their reporter's colleague. I would never do that to him. That's all. That's all, Riggs. We apologize, but if he's going to be doing some, he better get on the same level, though, as Kovac and Todd, all the editorial guys with their notes. So I think Kyle's got it.
Well, you know, he's so pro Kyle Larson, right? So you and McFadden are rivals a little bit in that way.
Worse with me than Weaver.
I know. He is worse. I think you're right. Anyway, Kyle's been on that Kyle Larson May in Indiana beat for a month. He's probably looking for a little bit of a change of pace. Kyle McFadden joins us now. When you look at the Dream this year, Kyle, what do you see?
Man, this one really is exciting because I think it intersects a few eras in dirt late model racing. Drivers like Jonathan Davenport and Brandon Shepard and Brandon Overton, who are in their primes, who have known to go on streaks and stretches at the Big E, to where, like, if they're firing on all cylinders, like, they're going to be the guys to beat. And then obviously too, you have your Ricky Thornton Jr. and Bobby Pierce. I mean, they've won more than 85 features since the start of last year, but they only have 2 top 5s and 13 Dream starts. So as Ben had said, their best finishes at the Dream last year. So and then you also have 2 guys named Scott Bloomquist and Billy Moyer too, who have had their fair share of success. So I think it's just like really cool to have that like melting pot here like this week, and it creates that excitement, right, that we all want going into this week.
You know, the guys that we know are going to be good, you mentioned them. Give us a couple other guys, Kyle. 1 or 2 names, 3 names maybe of guys like, oh, we would hear about them Saturday night. We're not talking about them now.
Yeah, I think it's so cool that if you go back through the Dream finishes, there's always a regional driver who finishes like inside the top 10. Like last year was Mason Ziegler 5th, and Josh Rice in 2022 he came 8th, and then Greg Satterley, he came 9th in 2021, and Zach Dome 8th also in 2021. But I had my eyes on Shannon Babb. Even though he hasn't finished, 5 of his last 6 starts here recently, he's had speed. So if he can put a whole night together, I think he has a chance. And also, too, if he does qualify on Saturday night, that would be his 20th start in the Dream.
Oh, wow.
But Shannon Babb and Mason Ziegler would be my 2 guys to keep your eyes on.
I think that's good.
All right, Kevin Kovac. He's a notes guru.
Yep, here we
Kyle,
go.
You're up and comer. Unleash the notes. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting that if Chris Madden so happens to pull off the win, he'd be the first driver from South Carolina since Mike Duvall in 1982 to win a Big E Crown Jewel. So I find that quite interesting. And if you had to bet between Devin Moran and Mike Marther for their best finishes, so Devin came 7th last year at the Dream, best finish is 7th in 2016. Mike Marther 8th in 2017. I would have to say that both of them finish in the top 5 come Saturday night. So yeah,
he's got a little work to be Kovac, right? He's not quite Kovac yet.
Kovac's been in the sport for 100 million years.
Kyle, who's your winner Saturday, buddy?
I'm gonna take Devin Moran. I think he really has the whole package right now. If you look at he has the big track speed. He has shown that at Volusia. He can get around the small track and make his way through traffic, as shown at Fairbury a few weeks ago. I think he has the confidence. I think he has the team. I think he has everything going for him to finally pull one off.
All right, Kyle, we'll see you this weekend, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right. We've done these video casts many times, but we've never been able to say this, Derek, when we've done these. We've never been able to introduce Todd Turner as Hall of Famer Todd Turner, but we can now. Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame inductee Todd Turner closes out the media roundtable. Todd, I always frame your questions a little bit different than everyone else's, simply because I'm being nice when I say this. Your years in the sport, Todd, are a little longer than other people's. But as we are sitting here heading into year 30 of the Dream, what do you think this event's legacy is right now? There's many years to go, but what's the legacy of the Dream as we head into year 30?
It's a little bit been the little brother to the World 100 in some ways, and the way you talked about the vibe is a little bit different feel. But it forever is the race that you ask the guys, hey, what do you want to win? And they're like, yeah, the one with all the numbers, all the zeros on the check. So I think the legacy is we have lots of richer races these days throughout the sport, but the Dream is still right up there. And it's kind of the one that set this standard way back when, as you said at the opening, $100,000. It's hard to believe. I remember sitting around way back in my newspaper days, looking at that weekend's like NASCAR race or IndyCar race. And some of those, I know it sounds crazy, didn't even pay that back then. Yeah. So we had a dirt late model race that was paying, the biggest purse in the country on the particular weekend. So I think that's the legacy, all those zeros on the check.
You have covered so many great Dream moments. What are your personal favorites that you've been in a part of, in the mix, covering over your career?
Probably the Matt Miller win, where a great win for him, but there was a little controversy at the scales. Did he, he rolled him off, rolled him back on? Did he hit the number? Blah blah blah. Anyway, it kind of becomes the story of why now we have a fence around the scales. But when all that is going on and you're in the infield, and I remember the victory lane with Matt is going on, and Lanigan, who finished second, was upset and people were questioning it, and just all that hubbub. And to be down there in the middle of that, there's Tony Stewart coming down to ask what's going on, Sam Triggers, Larry Booth, they're all kind of huddling. That's just like one of those things in our sport, in our kind of media. We don't get a lot of chance to kind of be right in the mix of that. But that was just like super memorable. It's always fun to be in the infield at Eldora. It's great they have the press box and the infield center now. But to be down there with the drivers when they come in on the pad at the end of the race or when they're starting, that excitement and stuff is not just for the fans, but for the media too. It's memorable to be able to be there right that moment and ask a guy a question. Scott James is another one I remember when he lost the Dream. He was just crushed, and you really get those moments, really soak them up as a reporter.
Todd, so Rigsby was kind of asking me just some thoughts, and one of the first things besides the $100,000 check was like, I feel like this year's Dream might have a little old school feel to it, maybe like 2015 to 2019 era, because post-COVID we had 4 days in a row, we had the million, and I think this year it has a little old school feeling because we don't necessarily know it's going to go the rest of the season because all the rainouts we've had in the spring, and this is kind of like the first time where we're finally going to have everybody since Speed Weeks, which seems forever ago. Do you kind of agree with that? Maybe that it kind of has like this unknown as we head into, Dream Weekend. I guess I just have that feeling.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. We went through that whirlwind of COVID and the double dreams. It's so confusing to me when we're looking back through the history and trying to figure out who won in 2020 or 21. And I'm like, which one did we run first? What's going on? So yeah, it is a little bit, now that we have this new format, it's a little more settled. It is kind of like, hey, how's this? It may be a new era in the race in that way. So it definitely has a little bit of different feel. I'm like you guys. I'm on board with the format. I think we've gotten to with the twin features every night. It had just gotten to be like, what are we on the third consi for the third group, or is this the second consi for the first A group? Or it was a little much. So I like that now. It's like, hey, here's these 45 or 50 guys, and they're going to be running heats, a consi, and a feature, and we can all kind of keep track of that.
Couple notes, Todd, then give me your winner. Couple notes, and then give me your winner.
One thing, we might have a couple of new chassis that land in the field for the first time. Of course, last year, 23 of the 26 starters were either Longhorns or Rocket, so it's kind of hard to get in there. But those guys mentioned before, Hedgecock and the BMF car. Never has the BMF made the Dream, so that's a possibility. And then the Infinity cars that Ryan Gustin will have, and of course Brandon Overn will have. Those have a chance to get in. And then another one, also Kentucky based, like the Infinity car, is the Category 5 car that Stormy Scott will be there. And so we could have, for the first time, those 3 chassis landing in the field, which is, I think, kind of interesting. My winner, I've, kicked around, it's a little heart versus head. Who do I want to win or who would I like to see win? I'm going to go with Nick Hoffman. I'm a believer. Hoffman has been really, just impressing me more and more. I think I didn't doubt him necessarily when he got in Ty's car last year, but he had a solid season, and now here he is leading the World of Outlaws points. Hey, I'm on board, and I think it would be it'd be fun to see him at least try to get chased down by JD and all these other hot Eldora guys.
For the record,
see what Hoffman can do.
I think it's the first time Todd's not picked Dale McDowell in 10 years on the preview video cast. That's correct.
I'm not saying McDowell. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
Todd, thanks, buddy. We'll see you this weekend. Okay. Media Roundtable in the books. Much more to come, including the King of Eldora. Yes, I said it, the King of Eldora, Jonathan Davenport, on the other side of the break. Dirt Late Model Dream video cast. You're watching it now. We'll be back with JD after this.
Gear up to win with Buzzy Racing. With over 40 years of experience in motorsports and countless victories, Buzzy Racing provides teams with superior drivetrain sales and service. Whether you need assistance with transmissions, gears, axles, brakes, steering, drive shafts, or differentials, we have you covered. Family owned and operated, Buzzy Racing is dedicated to our customers on track success. What are you waiting for? Visit us at buzzyracing.com to learn more.
Death Ridge Optics definitely helped us out there. They have a high definition zero glare lens. It's just a high definition lens. It just sharpens everything up, being able to see the racetrack better. As far as a driver, that's the only thing we got is our feel and ourselves and then what we can see. So as long as we can see a little bit better, it has to be better for us.
Fry working the low groove, Bloomquist up high, and now there's contact between 66 Fry and Cyril Bloomquist. Bloomquist continues. Fry is spun in the turn, and caution on the speedway. Oh my, your leaders get together going into turn 1.
I didn't know what would happen. I expected him to be very upset. I would have been too. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So, everybody expressed themselves quite well.
Derek, I can honestly say that's probably one of the top 10 moments, just moments in Dirt Late Model history. Bloomquist Fry, 1997 Dirt Late Model Dream. Those two on the front stretch, Bill crashing into him. If there was Twitter in 1997, what do you think it would have been like that night?
A lot of memes, a lot of different GIFs. That whoever posted that first video, because I'm sure there'd been somebody right next to the fence as well, would have got a lot of views. But crazy time there in 1997. I think that overshadowed Jimmy Mars's win.
Yeah, but Mars Barnett was amazing after that, right?
Great dream.
Jimmy busted onto the scene that year with that victory. It was incredible. And yeah, I mean, it was that year alone is in a microcosm is really
and you're proud of your dad too.
My dad can be seen in that video running to the fence. Derek, I don't think it's any shock that Scott Bloomquist, he leads most statistical dream categories. He has 8 titles after all. But Todd Turner put this graphic together, and it was a little bit shocking. These are lap leaders in the history of the Dirt Late Model Dream. Scott Bloomquist has led 652 laps, Derek. The next closest, 240 at Billy Moyer. He is over, in essence, triple the next closest competitor. Again, he's won 8 times, not that shocking, but 652 to 240 is pretty crazy. When if you take him out of it, it's pretty even there in the first 10 or so.
So basically, JD just has to lead the next 400 lappers there at the gym.
Yeah, he's got it.
Then he's got it. And my biggest thing is Donnie Moran. Only 14 lap sled, buddy has a win.
He does have
That's
a win.
Crazy.
And what names to me? Obviously, my guy John Gill. I'm going to talk about him later. Led 77 laps. Jackie Boggs was 67 dream laps led. There's some interesting names on this list. Eckert has got a title with only 28 laps left. Dale McDowell, right? 22 laps led. But I'm with you. Donnie Moran at only 14 is probably the most shocking, given his Eldora success. And as good as Scott has been at Eldora, our guest tonight might make the claim, and I'm being serious when I say this, our guest that we're about to have on might make the claim as the greatest Eldora driver ever. Think about what I'm saying, Suave. If I had told you back in 2005 that someone could supplant Moyer, Bloomquist, and Moran at Eldora, you would have said no way. But look at this. Jonathan Davenport, total lap leaders at Eldora in 100-lap races. By the way, there was 2 events there in the 1 year. That's why it was 181 laps led. Look at JD's laps led. Overton, Bloomquist, Pierce, Madden, Shepard. This is from 2015 to 2023. Just total domination by Jonathan Davenport in that 8-year span. 572 Eldora 100-lap races led in that 8-year span. He didn't even lead a 100-lapper, Derek, till 2015. That is a chart that just illustrates Jonathan Davenport's total dominance at Eldora.
Well, yeah, 2017, he led the World 100 all 100 laps. I'm pretty sure got the lead.
The
there.
GR Smith car, I think, right? Yeah.
I mean, good for him, but personally, like, he makes it boring sometimes.
Oh, no, he's going to be mad at you when he hears that.
We talk about that all the time. He's okay with that, but that is a clinic, and great colors by Todd, by the way.
Todd did an amazing.
That's astronomical. That's domination.
And then let's take a look also at some more impressive JD numbers before we get him on. Let's really stroke his ego. Davenport has 8 100-lap victories at Eldora, second only to Bloomquist 12 and Moyer's 9. We just mentioned his laps led. JD has won 5 of the last 10 100-lappers at Eldora, Derek. That spans the Million, the Dream, and 3 World 100s. His stretch of 5 World 100 victories in an 8-year stretch is the best ever for a major Eldora event. He won 4. Bloomquist won 4 Dreams over 7 years once. And how about this? This number is the biggest eye-popper to me. JD has an average finish of 2.7 in his last 10 starts at Eldora 100 lappers. He finished worse than 5th just one time, and that was 7th in 2021. 2.7, Derek, in his last 10. That is utter frickin' Eldora dominance.
Yeah, he eats his Wheaties Eldora week. He drinks his Sprite during the any World 100 week, Dream week, whatever it is, Million week. Yeah, he's pretty solid there. Now 2.7 isn't too bad.
Let's get him on the air now. The defending Dirt Late Model Dream winner, Jonathan Davenport, joins us now. JD, you heard all the numbers that we just threw out there. We had to shine you up before we got you on the air. I think people know that you like Eldora. I know that you love Eldora, but I think there may be an obsessiveness that you have with Eldora that a lot of us might not realize. I want you to be honest and open about that. Do you obsess about this place?
Yeah, you're probably right. I'd say I probably do. I don't think I do quite as much as I used to, just because I guess the nerves has finally settled down a little bit. But I used to be pretty bad coming into Eldora week. Like I don't know that Rachel or Jason or Kevin or McCory or any of my crew chiefs, Lance, any of my car owners could really deal with me because I was a little over the top. But it just means so much there. It means so much to me, and I feel like that's one of my best chances to make money through the years whenever we unload at the Big E.
Okay, let me get this straight. You have a bull-type animal named Eldora, too, and you're wearing your driver suit already. It's Monday during Dream Week, so you're saying it's not too big of a deal right now?
I'm assuming he's testing.
Well,
I don't think he's like sleeping in his jersey the night before.
Yeah, come on, JD, come on. You love it. You're just being modest.
You are testing, JD, right? This isn't like you're psyching yourself up already, right?
No, I'm not sitting in the shop with my suit on or anything. No, I actually just got out of the race car and come in here. I think I could have got one more run in, though. Y'all held me up a little bit, so I got to get back out there whenever we get done with this. From last year at the Dirt Track World Championship, everybody knows how rough it was, and I blew up an engine, so we basically changed everything on my Eldora car besides the frame. I even changed the seat. We changed the transmission rear end, every bolt-on component, including the engine, radiator, fans, everything that we think could be bent, bruised, or broken, and everything's new. So we want to go make a few laps in it before we went up there, since the weather wasn't looking great for Wednesday.
When do you think it clicked for you at Eldora? When do you think the light bulb went off for you at this place, where you went from a guy who's, hey, I'm not bad here, to I might be the greatest ever here? When did that light bulb moment happen?
I don't know about the greatest ever there. I kind of figured out the place a little better in 2014, and then I was just young and dumb and didn't know how to control the race or control my emotions. And I just drove up there too fast. And then each year I progressed and learned more. You know, I thought if there wasn't a cushion around the top, there was no way I could win. Well, then as the racetrack changed, they changed the banking a little bit as we changed tires. I just learned to adapt to it and learn how to set my car up and what to adjust to run on different parts of the racetrack. So I still don't think, you know, I'm the greatest that's ever been there. They've been some really good ones there for sure, and there's still some more better ones coming. But I feel like I know how to adjust my car per how the racetrack changes now better than I used to, and we're going to continue to get better with that, hopefully.
JD, I look at your season, 5 wins. Obviously, your last race was the $50,000 to win Show Me 100. You're second in Lucas Oil points. It's a kind of a funny way I'm asking you this, but has this been a good year so far for you, or what would you say to that?
Yeah, definitely. We've had speed all year. We haven't put together the finishes quite like we wanted to, but we've been consistent and we've had a lot of speed. So I feel like I let a couple slip by me that we probably should have won. But that's just the way it goes. So right now, this year, I feel like we're just as good as we ever have been. Maybe not quite as good as we was in 22, but we're pretty close. So I'm really confident about my car. Like I said, I just got to make some laps in it again. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we stack up once we get there. It's kind of been a little odd year. We haven't got to race with all the boys, so to speak, a lot of times this year because of the split schedules and some of the other people not running series and things like that. So we'll see how we all stack up once we get the Big E.
I'm certainly not trying to create a controversy here, but I think it's safe to say, you know, you and RTJ have had a few moments this year in the last year or so. Is this just playful banter between two great drivers? Do you guys got a little bit of a rivalry going? I don't think you hate each other's guts or anything like that, but where on the scale of racing rivalries is JD and RTJ right now?
It's wherever you want to ride it, how you want to ride it.
Oh, don't give me that.
We're going to take, you know, I mean, me and him both know what's happened in the past every time it has happened. So we'll both remember that. We'll move on, and I don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know, you never know. You don't plan on getting into somebody. You don't plan on wrecking anybody for sure, or I don't. But we'll just take it as it comes. I got a few receipts in my back pocket if I need to use them.
JD, you kind of alluded to it earlier. I think it's safe to say, you talked about the cushion at Eldora. Your driving style has changed over the years, right? And I mean this respectfully, because I do think you are one of the top 3 dirt late model drivers of all time. I think it's Scott, it's Billy, it's you, and I really believe that. But, you know, I think we all kind of grew up on you as this wall-banging, cushion-pounding, spark-throwing guy. I don't really think that's the case anymore. How and when did that happen, and why did that happen for you? You went from this wah around the top to maybe not as much of that anymore.
Just experience, getting older, just more experience, knowing how to take care of my car, consequences, learning the consequences of what I used to do to what I do now. You know, and yet again, that's kind of circling back around to where tires doesn't matter as much as it once did. With this new tire rule, it's a little different. every time we go there, and they've done the tracks a little bit different. But I know that there was one time that, you know, it almost felt like the harder you was on your tires early, the harder they was going to be on you at the end. That kind of has kind of leveled out. It doesn't peak as much as it used to. So here lately, you know, in the past, I'm going to say 2 to 3 years, you've been able to be a whole lot more aggressive throughout a run than just, you know, if it's a 100-lap race, riding the first 45 and just taking your chances when you can, 2 or 3 laps at a time, where now you really got to run pretty hard the whole time and then just take chances, you know, when the opportunity is given to you, because the cars are so close and everybody's got the same stuff. So you just race the racetrack and the air now.
JD, when you're looking at the starting lineup, maybe on the sheet there in the infield, or you see the announcements for the, you know, the starting lineup on the stage, who are like 2 to 3 guys you're keeping tabs on before the 100-lapper starts? You're like, okay, he's starting 7th. This guy's starting in front of me. Like, guys, you're like, we got to be able to keep up with him, or no, at the end of the race, he could be coming and charging. You might be looking at the scoreboard on yellows and see where different guys are at.
I guess we're talking about Eldora. So it's different for most racetracks, but especially Eldora. You know, you always gotta look at Dale McDowell. You know, he's going to be there at the end no matter where he starts. Timmy's a really good one for sure. You got Madden, you got Overton. You know, of course, Scott, you know, before he got hurt, definitely was the main one. There's a couple more, you know, that I know I'm missing, but those are probably the big 5 or 6 there that we know is good. And like I said, there's guys getting better and better there, because it's easier to get better there now than it used to be, you know, 10, 15 years ago. We get so many laps there now. I always say I wish we could do a throwback weekend there where we would unload and do a weekend like we used to do, where you got to make one lap, go in and think about it, and go make one more, and then you didn't know what you had when you lined up for that first heat race on Saturday. So it's kind of cool, you know, that you do get to race as much at Eldora as we do now, because obviously everybody knows I love it, but it's still pretty neat when you don't know what you got, and that's where the veterans really shine through back later in the day.
JD, last couple things real quick. Give us an update from the farm. New animals, different animals. I know Rachel's grinding. What's the latest from the farm?
Oh man, it's been going wide open. We've I have to say we've had bad luck this calving season. We've lost several calves for whatever reason. We're trying to figure all that out. But on the flip side, you know, it's also been good. We're up over the 50 count now ahead, so we get busy for sure this time of year. But we got a big weight off of our shoulders this weekend. We went back and worked all the cows and got everything back situated so I could be gone and focused on Eldora, not worried about home. And like you said, Rachel does a great job, and Blaine, everybody that helps me out there. So we can get focused on Crown Jewel season now and get serious about it.
You heard me say it earlier. I think you're one of the 3 greatest dirt late model drivers of all time. I really do. I think at present it's Scott, it's Billy, and it's you. You hear me say that? What do you think when you hear me say that?
I think you're full of shit. I'm not anywhere close to them yet for sure. But, you know, we're just going to keep continuing to do what we do and drive forward, and just keep trying to win these big races and focus on them like I have, you know, my whole career in the past 10 years or so. So I really appreciate you saying that for sure. It means a lot to me and to Rachel, I'm sure, and my dad. So this is what he's always wanted me to do. And so we was just talking about how proud he was of me, you know, just getting to live out my dream that me and him kind of set in stone way back in the day. And so it's definitely awesome, and appreciate the kind words.
Oh, JD, for the record, that's the second time I've been called full of shit today. So that you're the second person to do that today. The first one was Amber, though, so that doesn't really count. So, JD, I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks so much, man. Good luck this weekend, Jonathan.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you at the Big E. Thanks for having me on.
All right, appreciate it. Good luck testing tonight. Derek, we got one more commercial break coming up. Full of shit, he says. Full of shit, he called me tonight, Swaff.
Yeah, I mean, he said it, not me.
All right. Final commercial break, 90 seconds. We'll be back after this.
When my grandfather started Winters Performance in 1958, he had one goal: building the best, strongest speed parts possible for his fellow racers. Today, nearly 65 years later, our family's still delivering on that goal. Day after day, race after race. We're in this for the racers. We're in it for the competition. We're in it for the win.
The fastest growing name in the motorsports industry is the Racers brand of safety gear and apparel. Winners wear K1.
I'll just put it this way, we'll be back. With the hard work of Mark Richards and all the people at Rocket, we'll be back.
Your opening night winner at East Bay Raceway Park is going to be Tyler Erb. Ashton Winger gets it done on a Tuesday night at East Bay. But it's going to be the Reaper out of Marshalltown, Iowa. His first career win of the Lucas Oil Late 100 Series. And it's going to be Hudson O'Neal getting his first win. Back-to-back winner at East Bay Raceway Park. Hudson O'Neal wins it. $20,000 later, alligator. Hudson O'Neal wins it at one.
Here we go. 2,300 pounds. Everybody at the scales. Oh my. Would this be something else? Here we go. He pulls up. There's no green light. There's no green light. 25 pounds light.
He's 25 pounds light at the scales.
25 pounds light.
Suave, no green light. If Bloomer Fry's top 10, I mean, I had Dylan Scott on, recorded our piece for the Wednesday night show. I said, what do you think of when you think of Scott Bloomquist at Eldora? He goes, no green light, baby. No green light.
That was already 9 years ago,
There was Twitter then, but imagine that now if no green light happened.
We waited until like 2 a.m. to get an interview from him, and he wasn't having it for obvious reasons. I wouldn't want to talk to somebody either after being right and taking
we had like this. There's a little shot of him, Derek, through a window in his hauler that night is all we've got. We talked about a lot of these dream moments. Here, my quick off the top of the cuff, Derek, my sort of top 5 that come to mind for me personally. Bloomer Fry, no green light that we just saw. Derek, people forget Darrell Lanigan's dream that he won in 2003. It was a green, white checker finish, as in like 0 caution flags during all 100 laps. 29 won in 29 minutes. That 100 laps they ran in 29 minutes. Eldora.
I remember being. I didn't go that year. I remember 4M updating quick. I think Berkey got second, fresh off his world the year before.
Yeah, so 29. Darrell Lanigan wins in 29 minutes. Just think about that. And there, I can't think about, for me, a John Gill fan growing up, the modern day cowboy. He leads 77 laps of that dirt late model dream in 1995. And I'm telling you, and I think Scott would tell you the same. If the yellow doesn't come out, Gill is the winner of the 95 dirt late model dream. That one broke my heart. And Derek, not that far removed from Brandon Overton, completely and utterly dominating 4 wins during the stretch in 2021. And Kyle Larson, who can forget, gets on NASCAR. NASCAR wins the NASCAR race the Sunday after the dream and says,
he won $1 million.
He won $1 million and says, I'm just happy Brandon Overton wasn't here to take all of our money. It was Brandon Overton, of course, 21-22 dream. Just unreal. Overton's just total and utter.
3 in a row, 2 in 1 year, and then 1 the next.
Yes, just total and utter dominance how good Brandon was. Like we said, back again. JD mentioned him. I don't think we can count Overton out. I wanted to plug the Vast Flow Network too, Derek. It's not just a dream that we have upcoming live, but many events. We've got Kubota High Limit, of course, at Davenport. I think tomorrow, right, Kane? Yeah, tomorrow night at Davenport. I-70 and more coming up for the High Limit boys. USAC Indiana Midget Week, Derek, for me, pound for pound, best week of pure racing in the world is USAC Indiana Midget Week. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, even as a late model guy. Castrol Night, Wednesday at Eldora, the Dream Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and more USAC action Eastern. So are you a USAC guy? Because you should be if you're not. It's pound for pound, it's the best racing is USAC.
I mean, I'll pay attention to Indiana Midget Week and then hope that Truex Loud Pedal will bring up an old school video again. But he's too busy with Flo at times. But that's where you kind of got to start, was making those sweet music videos.
That's how I found him. So all of that
and
live.
Great tracks. I mean, Bloomington, Tri-State, Kokomo to finish the final three is pretty solid.
Incredible. Derek, give me final Dream thoughts before I give you mine as we wrap up.
I kind of something you alluded to, but it'll just be interesting to see how T-Mac, Tim McCready, does in the Rocket One. Former champion. He won the World 100. He won the Stream in 2020. That Rocket car was fast the last two times they were there, but a new driver. Can that Eldora experience with T-Mac when it possibly slicks off? Maybe sometimes rocket cars aren't very good in the slick, or people will tell you that. Can he get the win? And how will
a better slick track driver, right? McCready kind of brings
that's what I'm saying. Will that help him out if the track conditions are a little drier than usual?
Yeah.
And then it'll be interesting to see just what guys show up to hot laps on the night they're not supposed to race because they think they're racing all 3 nights. But yeah, it's a great format. You're racing less laps for more money. So I think a lot of drivers will appreciate that. And then, they get to kind of hang out like they do it. I think another event that we do that's Gateway. You split up the field like that, which, those guys have a good time hanging out in the stands. We can get some interviews with drivers.
Have guest announcers coming up too.
Yeah, pretty solid work there. And we can't wait for the Dirt Late Model Jim. And then Bloomer, he's coming back.
He's in line already. He's third in line. When did that happen?
He's back.
He's ready to go.
He's ready.
I can't help but think about two guys, Madden and Moran. Devin Moran still chasing the ghosts of his father, of course. Can he break that Eldora curse, get that Eldora win? And then, of course, Chris Madden, Derek. Darrell Lanigan had a lot of snake-bitten years at Eldora, but Darrell Lanigan did check the box of Eldora crown jewel winner. So is Dale McDowell. Chris Madden is not, right? And he's been second in 3 consecutive Dreams, I think DJ said. I can't help but think about...
though, 3 consecutive doesn't equal what the winner gets.
I know. I can't help but think about those 2 M's. Devin Moran chasing the ghost, Chris Madden chasing his own different sort of ghost. And does Dale McDowell have one more in him? The guy who's felt like he is qualified for 14 Dreams in a row, which is unreal. Does he have one more magical Eldora run in him? And I love Dale. I love him like a brother. I would do anything for him, Derek. But what does Tom Brady say? Eventually, Father Time gets us all, right? Father Time eventually takes you out of the sport that you love. Dale's not going to be around racing forever. He's got many years of life left. He's not going to be racing forever. Does he have one more magical run in him? What do you think?
I mean, if track conditions are right, which if you look at the history have played in his favor, then he's definitely going to be there at the end. And if we're speaking to Father Time, Billy Moyer's entering this weekend.
That's true. We got Moyer Bloomquist.
So jeepers.
Yep. We're not talking about enough Moyer Bloomquist. These guys, Donnie Moran a car, right? And get him out there racing.
No one retires, right? I mean, it's been 10 years now since he said he was hanging it up, I think.
Yeah, not in our sport. I want to thank everybody that joined us today, all of the folks on the media roundtable, JD for taking time away from his testing schedule. He said we couldn't tell people where he was testing. We can't tell people, all right? Big secret. So we can't tell
He's not at Fairbury, I can confirm.
He's definitely not at Fairbury. He would rather not race at Fairbury, let alone not test
at Fairbury, so you have a billion other tracks.
Yeah, but thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to Derek Kessinger. Thank you to our great producer, Kane Runyon, who handled everything. We will see you this week for Dream 30, but don't forget, Castrol FloRacing Night in America kicks us off Wednesday, split fields Thursday, Friday, and the $100,000 to win Dream on Saturday night. Thank you so much to everybody. We'll see you this week at Eldora.